يلا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. آه. Dear friends, colleague, wherever you are, whenever you are, I greet you with your local greeting. Good morning or good evening or good afternoon. Also, I greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I hope that Allah is granting you peace and safety and prosperity for you, your family, your neighbors, and everyone that you love and you respect and you care for. Today is our 8th episode in Fatfada series 5 to 5. Today we'll talk about how to build a renaissance or reawakening, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, as well as construct civilization. It's not a rocket science. It's not a rocket science at all. You people can do far more better than anyone else. But let us see what we are going to talk about. First of all, I need to thank my colleague, Sister Aya Abu Zainab, for preparing the presentation. Next slides, Aya. And as maybe 3 months ago, we started Fatfada. I'm talking about problem facing charitable and humanitarian organization. And I thank the group of people here, my colleagues, Dr. Muhammad Bashir, Lutfi Sayed, Ahmad Al-Hait. I want every and each one of you to pray for him because he had an accident to injure his back and his spinal cord. And he is in the hospital. May Allah give him full speedy recovery. Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Sister Hala Fuad, Ahmed al-Sheikh is from Idlib. Mustafa Maad is from Idlib as well. So what we are talking about today, this slide, if you are watching on the Zoom, let's talk about steps of building civilization. Steps, 5 steps and 7 pillars. 7 pillars and 5 steps. Let me talk about 5 steps first. In the 5 steps quickly, number 1, we'll discuss theoretical definition of Renaissance and civilization. Number 2, what teamwork we need to create Renaissance and build civilization. Number 3, who is our partner that will take with us during our journey. Number 4, what kind of social climate that we need that can enable us to do that. Number 5, we have to assess where are we, our situation, actually, and where are we while we're talking about Renaissance or reawakening and civilizations. 8 years ago, maybe 15, 20, 25th of June, I wrote this post that you can see it. And today I'm reviewing it. That's why I added on those 7 pillars the 5 steps I mentioned. The 7 pillars of building civilization are there in front of you. Number 1, which is the most important pillar or cornerstone of building civilization, is human resources. It is you, the most precious, valuable asset for every community, for every society, for every nation. It is the individual man and woman. We find people who are ruling such countries are demeaning those young people like yourself. And even one of those leaders used to call them afrit. كل سنة, every year you are bringing 1 million afrit to me. Stupid and ignorant leader is not good for any or have no value for any society. The most precious asset for any society is the individual, more precious than gold, silver, oil, gas, anything. Without a very good educated human resources, your country is nothing. Your country will be living in the wilderness and the darkness of the Middle Ages. It's number one of the 7 pillars. Number two, you have to be a believer. You believe in your religion. Nobody is going to ask you what religion you have. You believe in your country. You believe in yourself. You believe in your values, community, your culture. You have to be a believer. You see, you have to be a believer in what you are going to do. Civilizations need believers to construct it. This number 2 pillars. Number 3, your affiliation. Your loyalty. الانتماء. You have to be loyal to your homeland, whether it's Sudan or Egypt or UK or America or Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Bahrain or Emirat or Libya or Iraq or Syria or Yemen. You have to be affiliated, loyal. Loyal. You know loyal? As the Prophet ﷺ talk about loyalty to Mecca, loyalty to the homeland. This is number 3. Number 4, you have to have values. To know what is the value of your ancestors, your society, your great-grandfathers, your religion. You have to have values. See, all this has to be there as constructed inside the structure of building civilization. Number 4, no civilization will be built on ignorance. You have to have scientific dimension. In another way, all the people who are trying to build civilizations are educated, highly educated, and know the different dimension of science and technology. And believing that science and technology have no limits and no ceiling and no borders. Number 5 or number 6 is you have to have the practical experience. Practical meaning experience. Many people with PhD are ignorant in community work. They're very good academia, but when you translate their academia knowledge into the field work, they cannot do what field worker can do. Number 5 or number 7, sorry, you have to know what's your natural and national resources. Unfortunately, brothers and sisters, colleagues and friends, people who have this satellite are discovering the resources of their own country, while the local citizens will not be able to understand what wealth of natural resources underneath their feet. That's why the enemy of humanity, the enemies of humanity, the enemies of life, the enemies of science and technology knows the wealth of your country. Look at what's happening in Africa, West Africa, North Africa, South Africa regions by super states who are stealing the natural resources because they know from the satellite what these countries are having, while the local people have no knowledge of it. You have to know your natural and national resources. This was said 8 years ago. This heptathlon or septet, يعني السباعية هذه, is the foundation, the core foundation of building any civilization. That's why I'm reviewing the 7 by adding to them 5 steps. The 7 plus 5 steps. 7 plus 5 steps. What are the 5 steps? Number 1 in the 5 steps to take us forward is the definitions of reawakening, which are called renaissance, and civilizations. I will talk about it from my Arabic understanding, because Arabic, I'm very proud of my Arabic language, because it's so super rich. That's why I will translate the Arabic into English to try to elevate the level of the people actually to the value of the metaphor and the proverb of the Arabic language. First one, definitions of reawakening and renaissance and civilization. Number 1, definition of civilization. What do you mean by civilization? Civilization means that you are living in a place in a town or in a village or in a city. You're not living in a no man's land. This is one of the explanation of al-hadar, which is the town and city and the villages. Populated area, populated and interactive community. Number two, civilization means urbanization. And this against nomadism. nomadism اللي هو البداوة. nomadism اللي هو البداوة. Number three, it is a populous construction. مرحلة عمرانية تتحدث عن العمران. populous construction. It's a movement of intervention, construction and urbanization. This is civilization. Simple to understand. And if I take you to very widely described definition of civilization by Edward Taylor, this was reported by Ruba Shishtawi, 17/12/2017 in Mawdu.com, and he said, as a philosopher, he said, it is wide ethnographic sense, and its wide a definition of civilization in its wide ethnographic sense means it's a complex whole, as if you have got this space, huge space, or huge container, or huge something, huge, which have inside it what? Have inside it belief, knowledge, morals, art, law, customs, and any habit that human being, male or female, needs. This is civilization. Very holistic definition of civilization mentioned by Edward Taylor in the 18th century or end of 17th century. Also, civilization means somebody is lecturing others, teaching others, and passing the knowledge. I'm talking about knowledge. People are with you all the time. حضور, حضارة, حضور, حاضر, محاضر, يحاضر. The last and not least means time, present, al-hadir. See how the Arabic language is extremely rich? And I invite all the Arab to go back to the Arabic language and the non-Arab to learn from the wealth of the Arabic language. It's not in a very arrogant way, no, it is in a very realistic way. So this was the definition of civilization. The second one, it's what's the definition of reawakening. Wake up. When you want to ask your wife or your husband to wake up for Fajr prayer, wake up. Enhad. It is a process of energy and power. Positive stand. Positive movement. Eagerness. الرغبة الجامحة. Eagerness. To do what? To do social public progress. Social and public. So this kind of waking up to do the public social progress. This is one of the definition of reawakening or renaissance. If you describe a worker and he is good, you can say that this kind of worker is very enthusiastic. Your enthusiasm is a part of our reawakening. Enthusiasm. If you are describing a young male or young female, what you say with the reawakening, he or she are alert, aware, and fulfilling their duties. It is a very positive wake-up call. Very positive wake-up call. Wake up to do what? To make a change. The last and not least, it's a high place. مكان مرتفع. That's the meaning, Arabic meaning of النهضة. نهضة، نهوض، ينهض، المكان الناهض. These are the definitions of civilization and reawakening. Let me give you a story about reawakening. This cave, which you can see in the slide, in Jordan, and people say or said this were the people, young people like yourself, the people of the cave, were there sleeping in it for more than 300 years. 300 years. 300 years. Okay. People can say that they are in deep coma. And you know the story from the chapter in the Quran. People can go for this deep sleep for months or years or centuries. Okay? But before they went to this deep sleep, Allah knew that they were what? This was their characteristics. They were knowledgeable, community activists, they were believers, they were aware of their community's need, they were committed believers who believed in building the progressive movement of social change based on their utmost belief in Allah. That's why Allah was honoring them by letting them to sleep for this very long period of time as a miracle, then to be mentioned forever and known forever by everybody like you and myself. We don't know their names, but we knew their action before Allah brought them to deep sleep for 300 years. And now they are remembering by us. Every Friday we read the chapter about their story. So this was an honor. When they wake up, they were trying to do something positive, because before they went to sleep, they were trying to do something positive. Okay? This is one of the examples of the process of reawakening. So, reawakening or renaissance is a positive wake up process to what? To spread the status of activism in every sector of the community. This is another definition. It's not just wake up and do nothing. It's a positive wake up process to spread this status of activism in every sector of the community. In front of you, there are two lands. One is yellow, the other one is green. Let me give you the example of reawakening. Again, it is in the other definition which I put. All the other definitions are my own definition. They are like local social movement, which will lead to a local social movement. Yani you are Syrian, you are Yemeni, you are Lebanese, you are Sudanese, you are British, you are whatever you are, Pakistani, Indian, call it. It's local social movement, which eventually will lead to discovering a suitable land, which is actually the one in the right, the yellow one. To do what with the land? To do what with the land? To try to build civilization on it. So when you wake up, so you want to, a part of your nahda is to find the land to build civilization onto it. This is number one. Number two, you have to know your national and natural resources. You have. This number two. You have to test these resources. By what? By changing this yellow land, which is a desert land, into a green land. Land reclamation. The greenery of the land. And don't do something very aggressive, expensive, or difficult, but plant grass. Very simple. or seasonal crops like wheat, like barley, like maize, اللي هو الذرة والقمح والشعير. And once it becomes green, okay, this greenery of the land or the land reclamation will be the magnetic power to attract the masses to come to the green land. They will never go to the yellow land or the desert land because it's very difficult. But once those small group of people who will awake through the awakening process, discover the land and try to make the land reclamation on a very small piece, and it becomes green or became green, the rest of the people or the community or the masses will come to this land to take it forward, to make more development on this piece of land from the grass level into the trees, the fruitful trees level. This is how we explain what Nahda is and how to explain what reawakening is. Reawakening is a wake-up call to the small number of people, not to the whole country. The people who are 24/7 at the back of their mind, they are thinking about the community, thinking about the families, thinking about the country, thinking about the history, and they are trying to pay a lot of sacrifices for the rest of the masses. Civilization comes after reawakening or renaissance. يعني الحضارة بتيجي قبل النهضة ولا بعدها. Okay? Civilization is a process. Another definition. يعني أنا يعني حطيت تعريف تاني. Civilization is the process of moving or convincing the masses. The masses. The people, the other people, the community, the citizens, to come to the newly discovered land and changing it from the stage of land reclamation into the stage of fruit trees plantations. Like you can see it on the photograph on the left hand side. Fruit trees plantations, harvesting, then the habitat building stage on the right. Once the grass becomes fruitful trees, the habitat will be built to allow animal, birds, insects, reptiles, human beings to live inside this habitat. يبقى went from the desert, reclamation, greenery, to fruitful trees, then to the habitat. And this is going from the reawakening into the civilization and the habitat stage. We will discover that the citizens who arrived after us to live and prepare the post-land reclamation stage are a lot of citizens will come with different specialism: artists, scientists, thinkers, philosophers, farmers, industrialists, teachers. They'll come because not all of them will be able to sacrifice his or her life to discover the land and stay in the desert for months and years till you make it green. But once you people, the few of you, will be able to make it green, the millions of people will follow you. It needs the few to attract the masses. We will discover that the citizens who arrive to live and prepare the post-land reclamation stage are having the ability and the scientific knowledge of planting the dense trees, having the interlocking twigs, abundant shadows, multiple fruits, and changing the whole area into a safe habitats for all creations of God, not only for human beings, and fulfill their dreams, because all this creation of God would like to live inside the habitat created within the civilization that you created for them. Another definition for civilization: it is a continuous life movement. Life is moving all the time, and you have to go hand in hand by next to the life movement. It's continuous life movement beneath which the endless and multiple building systems of civilization manifestation are constantly and constructively processing. It is a continuous, progressive, constructive system, non-stop, 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 dynamic, every day, every hour. It is a continuous life movement beneath which the endless and multiple building systems of civilization's manifestation are constantly and constructively progressing, progressing, progressing. It's a positive, harmonious movement with all its components, as well as a complicated, compound, complex movement, deterring whom? Deterring the traitors, the bad ones, who are trying hard to destroy the awakening manifestation and wipe civilization's landmark. But this movement, what does it mean? What does mean? What does need? Sorry. What this movement needs most? It needs suitable climate. We have to provide the suitable climate to make this movement to carry on. The climate that allows all these fruitful trees to bear their different fruits every time by God's permission. كل حين بإذن ربها. Inside the spacious, empowered, powerful community, as well as inside the conscious, aware, and dynamic world that is progressing within these available social civil liberty spaces. Les civil liberty spaces. الحريات المدنية. الحريات المدنية. الحريات المدنية. Social liberty spaces protecting its progressive movement by one hand and allowing the community trees to bear the multitude of their social civilized fruits by the other hand. With one hand, it protects, with the other hand, it produces the social fruits. Also, civilization is a group of cognitive, معرفية, scientific, social structures, moving inside or guided by its movement. Everyone who is enjoying his or her freedom to think, free to think, to speak, to express opinion, to work, to be productive, to be pioneer, to be innovative, to become creative, and. This is a space. We need to create the civil liberty space, the civil liberty space to protect your ability and our ability to think, to produce, to interact, and not being afraid or freaking out of any authority. As I mentioned earlier, you can be in certain countries walking in the street and found somebody wearing a plain uniform, no uniform, and holding you and taking the telephone from yourself and telling you, sir, can I see your telephone? And they take the telephone and see, oh, you have some posts, and he takes you to a no man's land, and nobody know where you are. And this is not being afraid or freaking out of any authority. If you are not freaking out of any authority, you'll be able to become creative pioneer, not only to change your own society and your own community, but the humanity as a whole. Another difficult question. Somebody asked me this question. Okay? Somebody asked this question. He said, sir, there's many dictating, يعني tyrant, build for themselves what they called حضارة ونهضة, Renaissance or civilization manifested by by pyramids, by tall buildings, stone building, stone buildings, stone building, stone building. Building stone building is not Renaissance or civilization. Don't be fooled by the people who keep building stone buildings and convincing you that this is civilization or this is Renaissance والنهضة. لا هي حضارة ولا هي نهضة. While يعني the question was, as you can read it, while there is no civil liberty space, dictator just keep building monuments, keep building all these things to be remembered. My answer was, there's a big difference, huge difference between unjust tyrant, طاغية, غير عادل, who is building stone edifice or monuments. And the pyramids in Egypt were built as a graveyard. Nothing else. Nothing else. Stone building. For what? For the king to be buried and his family. Nothing else. Okay. Stone edifice or monuments. On the other side, the fair, conscious leader will be building socially driven scientific knowledge systems. And you are, as a fair, conscious leader, will build socially driven scientific knowledge system. The tyrant will build the stone buildings, a city, a town, a tower. That's it, nothing else, to commemorate his or her self. So the fair conscious leader will be building socially driven scientific knowledge systems where it is big one. So Lagano, big one is made out of freedom, respect, recognition, and lack of fear of the ruling authority. Give you the example again. The first, which is a tyrant, who is using what has been built by the second. The fair one. What has been built by second is the science, the technology, the knowledge. Used the knowledge created or found by the first, this is the second good man, leader, been used by the first tyrant to build his stone. Only he can build stone monuments, nothing else. He cannot build social movement. He cannot build science and technology system. No, because he is tyrant. He's looking at the mirror to see himself. But the good leader is looking at the mirror to see the community. The stone monuments that were built by the unjust tyrant are much easier to build than the knowledge-based scientific systems built by the fair and conscious leaders. And there's a difference between Europe and America and other countries that you can see them. Only investing the money of the people on security protection for themselves and their families. The scientific knowledge left by the fair and the conscious leader allowed the unjust tyrant to build his monuments. And without such knowledge, no one, as a tyrant, will be able to build their stone monuments. All those people that you can see them nowadays are tyrant building stone buildings, stone monuments. Don't be fooled by somebody building stone city, stone building, and saying this is civilization. Civilization is an agriculture, it's a science, it's technology, is industry, is factories, is employment. This civilization is production, not oppression. Please, young people, don't become depressed, no whatsoever, or giving up easily. Don't lose your hope in building or completing this Renaissance civilized progressive social movement. It has to be built by all of us. The 1 million miles journey starts with one footstep, one footstep, one footstep. The footstep starts with reawakening or renaissance. The renaissance ends by bringing the masses together to create a civilization, delighting whom? The sowers. تعجب الزراعة لتغيظ بهم الكفار. من هم الكفار هنا? Who are those disbelievers here? They are disbelievers in science, knowledge, technology, humanity, renaissance, civilization, liberty, and life. تعجب الزراعة لتغيظ بهم. والكفر هنا, disbelief here is not only in the religion, it's in life, it's in science and technology, it's in freedom, liberty, believe in humanity. تعجب الزراعة like yourself لتغيظ بهم الكفار الذين كفروا بالإنسانية. Those disbeliever in humanity. All this in the definition of civilization and renaissance. Look at this image which I draw. This lady is not looking at the tall building or the hanging fruits or the green land or the yellow land. No, she's looking beyond that and telling her children, this lady is talking, this is the human resources, this is the mother of the country, the mother of any society, telling her children, please don't be distracted by what you build because it's still a long way to go. You managed to change the land into green, land reclamation, but you have not finished it because still some part of it are yellow. Your civilization is bearing fruits. As you can see, these hanging fruits coming from the 7 or 8 branches. So non-stop, she's not very happy. She wants the children to keep progressing. Carry on, because the land is still yellow. But look at the symbol of the civilization and the Renaissance is in her necklace. The golden jewel around her neck. It is the same golden fruit at every branch coming from the civilization itself. You can see this yellow golden fruit. She's very proud of her identity. She's very proud of her children. She's very proud of her country, like all our mothers. Point number 2 or step number 2 is the teamwork. We cannot build civilization by one man. A pharaoh cannot build the civilization by himself. Neron or Hitler cannot build any civilization by himself. No. Number 1, a good 5 points. Good leadership, listening leadership, accommodating leadership, inclusive leadership. It's number 1. Number 2, the teamwork have to have a spirit, have to be affiliated and loyal to their homeland. It's number 2. Number 2, they have to have the ability to sacrifice. No one whatsoever will be awakened and standing up for his community or her community without giving sacrifices. وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Once they say this is right and this is wrong, you have to be patient. Because this is where the anti-civilization and anti-humanity will come and kill you or stop you or torture you. Number 4 is to have a clear objectives in the teamwork. You have to take them with sets of clear objectives. Number 5 is constant attempts, المحاولات الدائمة. no non-stop trials. As if you look at all those people who won the Nobel Peace Prize, the least one of them in science and technology, who managed to repeat the experiments 100 times or 1,000 times before they won the Nobel Peace Prize. And here, to build civilization, you have to have this constant المحاولات الدائمة, constant attempts. This is in the teamwork. The first one we talked about, the first step is the definition. Second step is the teamwork. Third one, who's our partners? We cannot build civilization alone. No. First of all, we need to try to know them. Who are they? To choose them. Then we have to inform them, to be very honest, transparent with them about the challenges and the dangers of the road that they are going to take with us, to work with us. Informing them about challenges, dangers they might be facing, and sacrifices they might offer. And this is what happened to all the prophets and their companions. Number three, the different length of time needed to complete the building process. Nothing is going to be built overnight at all, at all, at all. I've seen the Arab Spring 10 years ago. People thought that everybody is frozen and flowery. No comment. Still, most of the countries who started the Arab Spring did not enjoy the fruits of the spring itself. Agreeing on a roadmap with your partners. You have to make a roadmap, and you and your partner can go through it. Number five, isn't it? Yes. Building, you have to tell your partners that this building process might not complete during our lifetime. It might be completed after we leave this dunya. This you have to be very frank with your partners. If they agree with you during this, actually, and you explain to them the most tedious, difficult, endless, and mission impossible journey, they will be following with us the footsteps of the holy prophets of God and the other social justice reformer. This is the step number three. Step number one is the definition. Step number two is the teamwork. Step number three is actually our partners. Step number four, social climate. We cannot plant mango or banana in Sweden because of the cold temperature, or in Siberia. No, we can't. What social climate that we need to allow this civilization to grow inside it? If such a climate was not available, what we need to do, we have to create it or to grab it from beneath the fangs or the flanks of the unjust, corrupt criminals, من بين أنياب الطغاة who do not believe in freedom, social justice, do not believe in life and humanity. It has to be taken from them. Such a climate is made out of what? أهم حاجة في الclimate, civil liberty. Most important part of the climate is this civil liberty. Civil اللي هي ايه؟ الحريات المدنية. The civil liberty and the space for civil liberties. Civil liberty is based on science and knowledge, contemplation and understanding, awareness and realization, seriousness and pursuit, diligence and innovation, striving, struggling, and sacrifices. This is what makes the civil liberty civil liberty. Science and knowledge, contemplation, understanding, awareness and realization, seriousness and pursuit, diligence and innovation, striving, struggling, and sacrifice. Last but not least, come back again. We are not at the time of Antar, the son of Shaddad, or Hercules, or the leader who can do everything by his hand. No, We are at the time of the era of the civil liberty needs civil society sector. It needs civil society organization. We have to keep building as many as we can independent civil society organization to protect the climate, to protect the state, to protect the country, to protect the nation. Look at here in UK, in Europe, how many civil society organizations in Europe and America? Millions, millions, millions. Because it's not the time of the prime minister to rule everything by himself, or the president to rule everything by himself, or the queen or the king. No, 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 it's gone. This is gone, finished, finished. It's a time of the institution to lead and protect, to lead the country, to lead the society, to lead the future, and to protect the natural resources, and to protect the citizen himself or herself. Number five, step number five, we have to ask our question. One thing, where are we? Are we in step one, discussing what I mentioned 8 years ago? Or are in step two, discussing definition of civilization and renaissance? Or are in step three, identifying our partners? Or step four, creating suitable climate? Or where are we now? Step six or seven or eight or nine? No, no. You have to ask yourself this frank question and this open question. Where are we? Which step? So 7 pillars and 5 steps. Young people, all of you young people, inshallah, and heart, please, we have to identify what? Who are we? What's our identity? What's our objectives? What's our resources? And what's our expectation? Who are we? What's our identity, objective, resource, and expectation? Young people, Renaissance building and civilization construction are not, listen to this, very important. It's not interesting talks to listen to only. It's not lectures that you attend only. It's not books to read or thought stories only. It's not TV programs or dramas to watch only. It's not fairy tales, historical miracles, weaving our social memories inside our childhood only. It's not cultural theories or social laws that you can invent only. It could be all of this. And on top of this, what I mentioned, and on top of this, what you need to add, because you have to contribute. You have to contribute. You have to contribute, and you have to add your contribution positively to this and more. Last slide. To be very honest, our hope is tied to you after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are the most precious of what nations and generation can give birth to. Don't listen to the people who value the oil or the gas or the climate more important than yourself. You are the asset. You are the wealth. You are the present, the past, the future. You are the cornerstone of the existence of any nation or any state. You are the owner of your own state, the owner of your own country, the owner of your own resources. Don't let them fool you and telling you that we are the leaders and you are the follower. No, you are the owner and they are the employees. You are the employer and they are the employees. Please fulfill our dreams, young people, even if you achieve them after a while. Doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference. We are anxiously going to wait for you and will be happy to receive you, celebrate your achievement, and thank the Creator for your success in your noble mission. And you are going to succeed. I believe at my age that you are going to succeed, whether I'm still alive or I'm living in another life. Thank you very much for being patient to be with me for the last 50 minutes. God bless you. جزاكم الله خير. وجمعة مباركة. I wish you to have a good Friday, inshallah. I got quite a few of my brothers and sisters are attacked by COVID. Please pray for all of them, especially pray for my brother Ahmad, who injured his back, يعني كسر ظهره in an accident, backbone, and he should have an operation on his back. وجزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.